fuck off, Wanda. I hope in some future iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe you are treated as the villain that you are.
Well, well, well. I didn't know the Disney writers were avid fans of this channel. Well, I hope they won't mind me dissing their latest work. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness premiered recently and people are supposedly not enjoying it for some reason. Could it be against some organized trolls hell-bent on destroying the few things we enjoy in life? Let's see what some of the people on the internet are saying.
To be honest, I like the movie. I just happen to understand why some parts of it can cause others to hate it. First, because they used a bunch of random characters instead of acknowledging the ones from the Disney Plus shows.
I would actually say this to be a positive if it were actually true. Watching a Marvel movie nowadays requires of me to have seen all the previous movies, read some obscure comic book chapters, and as of recent, to have also watched the new Disney Plus shows. This feels more like a chore than a pleasant experience. It might be just my growing age, but back in my time movies required that you have at most seen the prequels, instead of what is equivalent in volume to the entire lore of Christianity. I really hate how the Marvel movies nowadays cannot stand on their own, but they are merely a continuation of some bigger project and the setup for the next big event. They lack any artistic merit in themselves. Truly, a society of the spectacle, but I digress.
Next is the villain. The villain is also a beloved character. She's gone crazy in the film and did some pretty bad things. Things fans don't want their beloved characters to do. Okay, it's not uncommon for evil characters to also be likable. However, Wanda as the villain in the movie is not the likable kind.
I don't think Wanda is meant to be a likable character anymore. She has gone completely down the villain route and has not even attempted to redeem herself. Still, every other character is forgiving her as if she's the Holy Virgin Mary that can do no wrong. I was planning on reading other points raised from the quote-unquote fans, but the soy levels were just too damn high for me. So instead I will offer my own horrific opinion on this movie. Beware, I will be spoiling quite a lot, however I really don't think you will lose as the movie is really not worth watching. First, to open up with what I believe the movie did well. 1. Wanda was treated as a villain, however I would say too little too late. Other characters should have condemned her when she took an entire town hostage, and not forgive her so easily for that, but I've already beaten this horse plenty. 2. The fights actually looked pretty cool. Usually Marvel fights look dumb as fuck because they're choreographed by someone who has never seen a fight in their life. Thus they feel static, they lack stakes, they lack power. However, now that magic was added, they suddenly became a lot more dynamic and visually interesting. 3. The effects were great. There wasn't a single moment that broke my immersion due to poorly done or out of place visual effects. 4. Actually, there is no fourth positive. The movie was surprisingly weak and definitely was not kino. Now, as I was leaving the cinema, I was trying to put into words the experience I had just endured. And as my friend asked me, what did you think about it, all I could reply was, it was kinda ass. Truly, there isn't anything glaringly wrong with Doctor Strange 2. It was shot okay, the story is okay, the acting is okay, and the music is okay. And if I were to attempt to point to any particular thing that ruins the movie, I would surely come out unsuccessful. But I think that is precisely what is wrong with the movie. It is very formulaic, it just feels like a copy-pasted movie. It is very unimaginative and lacks any soul. To call it a movie would be in fact incorrect since it is merely appearing to be a movie, but in reality it is just a bunch of shots played really fast in sequence. Allow me to elaborate. First is the soul or the essence of a film. Maybe I'm a bit of a romantic, but when I watch a movie I expect to be taken on a journey where I become enticed by its world and it is able to elicit certain emotional reactions out of me. I would say the impact or experience, which manifests itself in you pondering on the movie hours after, is a crucial element of any art piece, for that matter, be it film, a painting, a book, a video game, or whatever. Doctor Strange 2 didn't do that for me. I am writing this review 5 hours after seeing it and I am already struggling to remember it. It was a very forgetful experience. While watching it, there wasn't a single moment where I felt worried about the characters, or saddened by their experience, or hell, even excited for a fight. My brain was simply registering images and saying, okay. Take Spider-Man No Way Home for example. It wasn't a great movie by any measure, suffering from a lot of issues, and was a blatant nostalgia bait. but a lot of the emotional beats landed perfectly and resonated with me. Or from the opposite end of the spectrum, consider Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. The story failed to grasp me and I hardly felt entertained by the characters, but the visuals elicited a certain feeling within me, such that they left a strong impression on me that I can still remember the movie vividly years after seeing it. My second point, which perhaps stems out of the first one, is that the movie is very unimaginative, which is very funny as it premiered while a much better Multiverse movie was airing. If you have not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, I highly recommend it. Here it premiered only recently, so it's a bit too late to jump on the video essay bandwagon of how great of a movie it was. But it does a multiverse movie properly. Doctor Strange 2 simply has Multiverse in the title. Really, I would have preferred some faults here and there in favor of the movie trying out a more daring idea with its absolutely massive budget. But no, instead they became the definitive movie of the Marvel formula. Expect a lot more of the same mold to come. As for any specific gripes I have, well, for one, the shots were very static. Actors' performances also sometimes feel very weird when interacting with another character, though the movie does a good job of masking it. The underlying reason for the previous two issues is actually the same. A lot of the scenes were in reality filmed by the actors being in completely different locations and never interacting with one another. Although it is a bit hard to notice and it does save a ton from the budget, it ends up doing more harm than good. When the actors are on the same set, you can experiment with more unorthodox angles, blockings, zoom shots, etc. Also, they can better deliver their lines by playing off of each other's performances instead of delivering their lines into the abyss. The story also on several occasions takes a 90-degree turn with no warning. Characters suddenly change their motivations or make unexpected decisions, much to the viewer's surprise. I think this is because the writers had laid out a few key moments but failed to connect them properly. So to mask their incompetence, they used flashy visuals and fight sequences to distract us. And they would have gotten away with it had it not been for you meddling kids. There were two particularly stupid moments in my opinion. First is Doctor Strange's purpose in the final fight. He travels across the multiverse by possessing a corpse of a variant of his, battles the souls of the damned, just to defeat Wanda by telling America Chavez to believe in her powers the same way he believes in her. I swear, I couldn't make this sound more anime even if I tried. Really, Doctor Strange is second in his own movie with the real lead being America Chavez. The only reason this movie exists is because Marvel needed to introduce their new superhero. The second one is the very last scene. All the conflict has been resolved. Stephen Strange is going out on the street of New York. He suddenly starts screaming in pain, falls on his knees, and he has a third eye open. And that's it. The end. What? The writers justified it as,
I felt like we had a happy ending. We were like, gee, for a movie where a lot of bad shit happens, we got a kind of a happy ending here. We really wrapped it up and that didn't quite seem right. We kept thinking about what Mortal warned Strange in the first movie, The Bill Comes Due. It's like Wong says, you possessed your own corpse, like, is this guy ever going to face any consequences? And it just felt like a great nod to horror movies where that's the final twist.
If you were able to understand anything from this jumbled mess of an explanation, then good job. But what I get from it is that they wanted to afflict some consequences onto Doctor Strange for his actions. That is great and all, but at the end of the movie, and in such a weird manner, this is the person who let Thanos win. He willingly gave the final stone to the ultimate villain because he believed this to be the only way for victory. And several characters have stated their disapproval of this, questioning him if this really was the right choice to make. Did he have the right to choose on behalf of the entire universe?
I guess what keeps me up at night is wondering, did it have to happen that way?
He's also the one who supposedly destroyed the boundary between the multiverses while trying to help Spider-Man by casting a forbidden spell. I really feel like the movie should have focused on either one of these 2 points. Where are his consequences for these choices? That is why I like Tony Stark as a character. In the first Avengers, he is faced with an unexpected evil which leaves him scarred and with a PTSD. In an attempt to protect the world from another such potential attack, he creates Ultron, which goes sideways and an entire country is removed from the map. People come to him and blame him for what happened. Again, out of guilt, out of a desire to make things right, he disbands the Avengers. But I guess Marvel's good writing exhausted itself with Endgame. Most of its new movies have been bland, and often, if I do decide to watch them, they leave a bad taste in my mouth. And it is saddening that this is what the company who has a virtual monopoly on our entertainment and culture decides to produce. I honestly cannot believe I watched this movie, as it was just 2 hours wasted. In conclusion, I would rate it out of 10. It really is not worth watching. Instead, go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was an actually good movie about a multiverse. And if you have enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It greatly helps out the channel.